Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Jackson Hearth. As you can remember, last week we discussed when looking for tiny, a place for your tiny house or any kind of house, you're going to want to look at zoning and the codes in that area to see if you are able to place um, the size house you want under probably 1,100 square feet. But today we're going to talk about permits. Now, once you have really looked at the zoning, you know where you want to live, you know the land, you checked it out, you love it, you want to purchase it, and you purchased it because you know that it's going to allow a tiny house, or a home under 1,000 square feet. Now it's time for you to look at what permits you have to have. Permits could be something for a septic tank, for your building, for your porch, for anything that's going to be structural on your homestead. For example, I am moving to Alabama. I only have to have one permit, and that permit is for either a regular septic or engineered septic. Either way, I have to have that permit in order to get my address from E911 because they want to make sure that I'm in compliance. Now, that is the only permit I have to have because in the counties of Alabama, from what I found on my research, there are really there are restrictions, but they're normally within like subdivisions or in the cities. But if you're in the county, normally speaking, you're going to be unrestricted, which means you can build anything on your property, long as it's safe, long as it does not do public, there's not a public health issue. That is why you have to do a septic. Also, in Alabama, you are not allowed to do gray water. So these are things that you need to check after you've done your zoning and make sure you can stay there. But permits are going to be, they're going to encompass a lot of your build. And that's why it's important to research what you're going to need before you need it to put that into your budget and your cost. For example, you probably going to need the state I'm in now is in Georgia. So in Georgia, you have to have a permit for your building, a permit for your electric, a permit for your plumbing, anything else that you may need. Once that is done, you have to have it inspected, and the inspectors will come out, either give you a yes or a no. If it's a no, then they'll tell you really kind of how to fix it. But let's say you're going to add a porch or a balcony. Again, that's got to be permitted. So there are a number of states where permits, they're going to permit you and charge you a whole lot more than in other states. Some states, again, like Alabama, if you're in the county, the only permit you have to have is for your septic tank, which is where obviously your black water and your gray water would go. But that is really the only permit you need to have. But in saying that, I always make sure that I get um, certified electricians and plumbers just so I know that that's done right and that there's not going to be an issue. But permits on when you add it to zoning is going to probably be your biggest headaches. Is because you've just found the property, you've bought it. Now you have to get the permits in order to start building. Now you'll want to check with your local municipality, your county, your city, and your state to see what they recommend. Usually what if you go to your county or your city, they're gonna recommend what the state recommends, so you may can overlook that, but I would still do your due diligence and research that. Now, once you have your permits, your permit to build, your permit for electricity, your permit for water, your permit for septic, you are then able to start building, but there's a caveat. You can only do it in sections because once something gets done, it has to be reviewed. So, for example, once your foundation is done, you have to sometimes call out and have that foundation inspected. Once your plumbing goes in, you have to call and have that before you connect it to anything. You have to have that inspected. Once your electricity is in, you have to call and have that inspected. And normally these are done inspections, especially if you have to have permits and inspections. These are gonna come when you finish a project. So when you get your walls up, when you put your plaster, okay, say you're doing a sheetrock, well, you're gonna need to have that inspected. You're gonna need to have your roofing inspected. So, and then you're gonna have to have at the very end a final inspection, and that is when your permits will be released, is once you get that, once you get your final inspection. Now, this is normally how it works here in Georgia. Now, I don't know how it works in other states, but I would do your due diligence and look again at zoning and permits. I might even, if I can suggest, is look at your permits and zoning before you purchase the property. Because you may find that the zoning is okay, but when it comes to permits, you have to have a lot more things, a lot more hoops and things when it comes to doing a homesteading. And you may want to look somewhere else. You may want to look into another state. But it is important in to do your due diligence in that. And that is one thing that I think that I am thankful that I do. I have there's a piece of property that I'm actually going to be sharing with you soon, the property that I'm hoping to purchase, because you're going to be with me on this journey, purchasing the land, putting my tiny home on it, starting it. So, but I'm hoping I can get through really how to get your tiny home and move in it before I do all that. And we're almost there because next week we're going to talk about what size home do you want? What do you want it to look like inside? And those things. So there's a lot of planning. Some people think it's easy, some people think it's monotonous, but it's for your safety. I think it's the zoning, the permits, and everything is for your safety. Um, Again, even if they don't require permits, you want to get somebody who is certified within that, because that could also hurt your insurance for the property. Now, once that is done, again, I would go back and go back and before I decide, look at your permits, see what your permits you're gonna have to, gonna have, see what it's gonna take to get them before you even decide on purchasing the property, because that could be a make or break. Because again, uh, different municipalities are going to have sometimes different codes and different permits. Because if you're in a rural county, it may be different than if you're in a metro or an urban county or city right outside of a big city. It could be if you're rural that it's more relaxed than if you're in a city. So I think that those things are things that you need to look at, things you need to think about, things to pray about before you decide on a property. And I am in that process right now. I've looked at zoning from my place. I've looked at my zoning. My zoning is unrestricted, which means building wise, I can put whatever I want to on there. But I looked at the permits, and I have to have a permitted septic tank. Um, and I think I'm gonna have to have a permitted engineered septic tank because of the soil. But I have done that. I've looked. I've already got numbers, and things of that nature. Now, if you need help or if you have questions regarding what needs to be done, how to do it, please feel free to reach out, because that's what I'm here for. I'm here to help you. I'm here to help you get through, you know, hopefully one of the most exciting things and exciting times of your life. And again, I cannot wait to share with you the property that I have chosen, and I will be showing pictures. I'm gonna take some down from Zulu, not Zulu, but the website that my agent sent me. I apologize. And I also am gonna be going to the property and taking some photos for my own to be able to share. 'Cause I think it's important that I can kind of give an update and kind of show you what it looks like. So please, stand by, please be forward, because it's us you're going to get more. I know right now we're going through the not so exciting things, zoning, permits, things like that. But eventually we're going to get to where we're just talking about living in a tiny house on a homestead. And with that, there are going to be some changes in the new year, but I will be announcing those in the next few weeks, and I will put up a special announcement with that. But again, your next step is permits. So if you have any questions about permits or zoning or anything like that, please feel free to reach out to me. And from my heart to yours, thank you and have a great day.